Samara, just take us to that part of your story where you begin to come back into your physical body.
I was feeling tired, and Mum actually asked me as soon as I woke up. She was like, "Sam, how are you feeling?" And she goes, "You know you've been under for 6 days, right? You've been in an induced coma." And I looked at her and I said, "What?"
When you say not normal, explain what that means.
Basically, they thought I had Tourette's. They thought I had a little bit of brain damage. For 2 days straight, I was accusing, I was swearing, I was cussing at everyone that walked past my ICU bed. I just couldn't contain myself.
And what were you thinking the whole time?
My beliefs, I kept thinking back to the boy.
Hi, souls. In the last chapter, we stepped into a space where the body was still, but awareness was not. There was experience. There was presence. There was something unfolding without the body needing to respond. And now we come to the moment of physical return, because physical returning is not just physical. It's a reorientation, a different relationship to the body and to what we understand ourselves to be. Welcome back to Inner Library Alignment. I'm Rachel Golden, and together we transform the stories that no longer serve us so we can reveal our true nature through conscious authorship. This is a space where we recognize that we are not the stories we've been living inside, but the awareness in which those stories appear. And today, we explore what it means to return. I'm here again with Samara Chambers.
Hi, Rachel.
Thanks for joining me once again. Samara, just take us to that part of your story where you begin to come back into your physical body.
Okay, this is an interesting one. So, as I was saying, I began to come back to life, although I was still in life. And just being my normal self, I'm never someone who wants to wait around and be patient. I am the most impatient person. So the first thing I wanted to do, I wanted to get up out of that bed and I wanted to be off.
And how were you feeling?
I was feeling tired. And Mum actually asked me as soon as I woke up, she was like, "Sam, how are you feeling?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty tired. Like, I'm actually quite exhausted." And she goes, "You know you've been under for 6 days, right? You've been in an induced coma." And I looked at her and I said, "What?" And this is when Mum got a little bit worried because I actually couldn't talk. So the way that I looked at her was like, "Huh?" And then I started using language that wasn't normal.
When you say not normal, explain what that means.
Basically, they thought I had Tourette's. They
Okay.
thought I had a little bit of brain damage.
Okay.
They didn't know what was going on. And for
Okay.
2 days straight, I was accusing, I was swearing, I was cussing at everyone that walked past my ICU bed.
Okay.
I just couldn't contain myself. And the frustration of even people looking at me, I would throw up my 2 fingers and swear at them. I would just do things that was totally not me. And people were starting to get a little bit worried, but they were also saying it's the medication. Once it wears off, hopefully she'll come back to her usual self.
And were you affected physically in any other ways?
The other way that I was affected was, as I said, I wanted to get out of bed and I wanted to run around. I wanted to do something. The doctor said, absolutely not. You've actually got a massive scar down your stomach with 16 staples, and you need to build that strength before you stand up.
Okay.
And you won't be able to walk. You will just crumble down. So
and how did it feel being told that you're not going to?
Yes.
Did you try to walk?
I tried to lift myself up and I couldn't. I physically could not.
Okay.
And at that stage, I still had all my tubes up in my nose. I had this huge IV that was in the side of my neck, trying to sleep with something like that, trying to be your normal self. It was just out of this world, not natural. It's not how you want to feel. When I woke up, I was definitely in a position that I was my most uncomfortable self.
Okay.
And I wanted to just be like any other human and go and have a shower. And I couldn't do that. So the doctors actually had to lift me out of bed and put me into this wheelchair. And during that time, I was this out of body self. I was not my normal, just calm.
And what were you thinking the whole time? And what were your beliefs?
My beliefs, I kept thinking back to the boy. That was my
Okay.
first thing, because
Okay.
I didn't believe that the boy was not there right next to me. Like,
Mhm.
this little boy had taken me through this whole 6-day journey.
Okay.
He was the person that was staying with me.
Okay.
So that was my first thing. The second thing is when they said to me that I couldn't get out of bed and walk myself. I was like, how dare that you tell me what to do, or you tell me that I can't get out of bed. And I then stopped and I had to think, and I was like, okay, if I've been under for 6 days and I've been in an induced coma, the amount of body mass that I've lost, the amount of pain that I've been going through, like, I need to recover from this. I need to slow down. I need to give my time the space to actually come back to building up the strength myself.
And how did you empower yourself to do that?
It was a lot of self-talk, and it was a lot of having to be told. I think mum talked me through a lot. My friends talked me through a lot as well. They said, Samara, you've got to relax. You've got
Let's
to.
focus on your self-talk. What was some of the self-dialogue that was happening?
So the self-dialogue that was happening is, I just need to relax.
Mhm.
I just need to give myself this time and space to actually learn to breathe normally.
So you had to learn how to breathe all over again.
It sounds ridiculous, but
No,
yeah,
it doesn't sound ridiculous.
it was one of those things. It's belly breathing. And that's
Okay.
when meditation came in.
Okay. So you adopted the practice of meditating.
That's right.
Okay.
And I had to there was 3 times a day.
And you did this completely on your own. You decided to meditate.
It's what made me feel good.
Okay.
And it's one of those things that I think I took 30 seconds and I just breathed in through my stomach
Mm-hmm.
and then out through the mouth. And it was, in a way, I felt like it was building my muscle mass up again.
Okay. So you use meditation to help yourself learn how to breathe again. And what else did you have to learn to do over again?
The other thing was patience. I
Okay.
had to teach myself that I won't be able to eat straight away. I'm not able to drink water straight away.
So you weren't able to eat.
I was being fed the whole time through one of my tubes.
Okay. Did you have to relearn how to eat all over again?
That was definitely a process.
Okay.
And it took about 2 weeks until I could eat full solids again.
Okay.
I think for the first week of coming out of the induced coma, I was fed through a tube and it was just liquids. So coming out and finally taking out that tube, felt so good. And actually starting to eat normally with solids again, that was a slow process. And your body has been through so much. So giving yourself grace and giving yourself that time and space to be like, this is going to be a journey. This is going to be something that is going to take longer than just a week to come back to normal. It
Okay.
took me 18 months to get back to my physical well-being of being able to live a normal life again.
So it took 18 months. And in this time, I know you had to learn how to breathe. You had to learn how to eat. Were you able to eat independently by yourself?
That would have been about a week and a bit later in
Okay.
terms of starting the solids very slowly.
Okay. And what about walking? You said you weren't able to walk. How long did it take you to learn how to re-walk again?
So rewalking probably took about 2 and a bit weeks.
Okay.
That was about moving very slowly.
Mm-hmm.
I think my biggest movement was someone having to actually carry me out of the bed and put me in a wheelchair. And I was able to lift myself out of it probably about a week and a half later. And that's when I finally had my very first shower. And that was the most surreal, best feeling ever, because I didn't have to have someone in the shower with me. And that's just something that you have to go through, is rebuilding the strength and staying really strong in your mind.
Did you ever feel like giving up?
I don't think so. There was no.
So you were always driven.
I was always driven. I always knew I was going to get through.
Okay.
And I never once thought, this is the end.
Okay. At any time, did you feel sorry for yourself or go into victim mode?
Oh, so many times. Because it was
and
one
how
of the,
did you bring yourself out of that?
I had to keep saying it's the power of yet. I mean, in education.
It's the power of
yet. Like
yes.
if I dare to say that. But it was one of those things where I was like, I can't do it yet, but I will get there.
The Magical Yet is the name of the book.
That's right.
I know that book.
And it's one of those things, I tell my kids this every day. And I think when I was that 18-year-old girl who was going through something so traumatic, that's something that I keep telling myself.
Yet.
I will be able to do it, but I can't do it yet. I will be able to eat normally, but I won't be able to yet.
Okay.
And as frustrating as it was to drink little tiny sips of water through a straw, I wasn't able to drink a gallon of water right there yet, but I got there.
Okay.
And it all took time.
And so you said that it took you 18 months to fully recover. How did your experience, or how did that experience change your life?
Before this experience, I sort of just thought my body was always going to be okay. After the experience, I still know my body is going to be okay. But I definitely come back to thinking, okay, if my body is feeling this way, maybe I need to relax. I'm still quite relaxed in terms of when I get sick. But if I know that I could just take one day and look after myself, that might help in the long run.
And how did it affect your mindset in life overall? Because this is a miracle story, right?
My mindset shifted knowing that I'm always going to be okay. It shifted because I know that my mind is so strong and I can tell myself I can get through this. I got through this lifetime story. Even though I don't always think back to that experience of being in hospital and going through sepsis and septicemia and everything like that, it does trigger me and it does come back sometimes.
And how do you handle those triggers?
Those triggers is I got through it. I survived it. I tell myself that was probably the most traumatic thing anyone could go through.
Traumatic indeed. Have you taken any or gone for therapy to help you heal through that traumatic experience? Have you done any type of therapeutic modalities?
So I will do a little bit of meditation, not a huge amount, but my biggest therapy is talking to my husband. My biggest therapy is talking to my mum about if I have any questions, I'll go back and ask her. I was so grateful that even though it was my mindset getting me through this whole journey, I had my whole village around me.
But you were able to find gratitude through that experience, which is so important.
Right. That's right. And the experience was somewhat documented in a way.
Okay.
And there were a lot of questions coming out of an experience like this. I wanted to know how long I was under for, what I was actually doing from someone else's perspective.
Okay.
I wanted to know what I was saying once I woke up, because I feel like my story could be different to someone else's story that was viewing what I was doing.
Indeed. And Samara, what's something that you want to share, that you want people to take away from your story?
My biggest thing is staying strong. You want to stay strong. You want to tell yourself that you can get through anything. And believing in yourself is no doubt the most powerful thing that you could do. And stepping back and viewing it from the outside and knowing that you will get through it.
Okay. And if you could recommend one book, you already mentioned The Magical Yet. Is there a book that you would recommend for all of our listeners?
Another book, quite unrelated to this whole experience, but the book that I would recommend is What I Know for Sure from Oprah Winfrey.
What I Know for Sure?
Yeah.
By Oprah?
Yeah, it's a fantastic story. It's basically she was asked what I know for sure in an interview, And she really thought about that question. And then she actually came back and told lots of different stories about what she knows for sure and her experience with life. And it's one of those books you can pick it up and just read different chapters.
And how does that inspire you?
The power of her getting through different situations in her life and her going through not something similar, but something similar. She was able to get through that just like I was. So it's making those connections with her stories and knowing that you've just got to be a strong, independent woman and get yourself through it.
Thank you for sharing your story with us. It is inspiring and it really awakens the mind and that awareness of us not being our body. So this is phenomenal. Thank you for sharing. It's amazing. It's been such an honor to have you here on the podcast.
Thanks so much for the opportunity. I hope my story resonates with other people, and I hope that they keep that strong mindset and just continue.
Well, it teaches us a lot, right?
Yeah.
That science can't really explain. And actually, there's an appreciation for that.
100%.
Thank you, Samara.
Oh, thank you, Rachel.
If someone listening is going through something where you or someone you know feels disconnected, what would you want them to know? What Samara's story reveals is not just survival, it's a shift in understanding because even when the body was still and everything familiar had fallen away, awareness remained. Not something created, not something controlled, but something that was always here. And from that place, something changes, not in what we are, but in how we actually understand ourselves. If something in you became clear in this conversation, in Samara's story, stay with that. Let that awareness be there. And if this is a space you want to continue exploring, be sure to subscribe so you can journey with us.